Rick Grenell was in the studio with us yesterday. He's a senior advisor with us at the ACLJ. And it was great to have him in the studio. Then he tweeted out, when I saw this tweet, I said, we got to get Rick back on if we can. He tweeted out that he's been told by Intel insiders that the current director of national intelligence is getting ready to manipulate old classified info to make it appear that COVID started in a wet market. Now, this is at the same time a report has come out that the patient 0 with COVID, actually the first 3 patients, 0, 1, and 2, were all employees of the Wuhan lab. So clearly a lab leak. So that report comes out at the same time, Rick. We've got your former position, Director of National Intelligence, that you've heard is going to try it again. The only move here, Rick, is they're protecting China.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And what we're seeing is Intel officials who I've worked with get very nervous about what's happening. There's a process going on right now to declassify some of this information so that it looks and appears like there's a debate about whether or not it's at the Wuhan lab origination or in a wet market. Now, China doesn't want it to be at the lab because that means a mistake. What they would rather have it be is a wet market incident where they can blame it on animals or people eating animals or some sort of interaction with animals. And that to them helps explain the situation away. Now, the troubling problem that we have is that the Biden administration continues to acquiesce to China. We don't push back. And remember, Anthony Blinken is on his way to have a face-to-face meeting with Chinese officials. He hasn't had this face-to-face meeting since his original time when they came to Alaska, and they spent some time lecturing us about human rights on our soil.
You know, Rick, I'm looking at the situation with China through the lens of kind of rewind. And I'm thinking to myself, when you were in office, the chances of Chairman Xi thinking about invading Taiwan or lecturing the United States on anything was 0. I think about Russia going into Ukraine, and that would have 0. I think about the Saudis ready to sign the Abraham Accords and now making, arrangements with others in the region to protect their own interests, which is really understandable. And in 34 months, the entire foreign policy of the United States has been put on its head, and look what the result.
I'm reminded of when I was ambassador to Germany. I was talking to Chancellor Merkel once, and she said to me, the problem with your president is that we just can't figure out what he's going to do. He's very unpredictable. He just might do something that we're not expecting. And I remember smiling when she said it and saying, Chancellor, that's the exact thing that we want in a United States president. Now, she didn't get it. They don't understand that being unpredictable is really good, because whether you're China or Russia or someone in the Middle East, you want a United States that you believe has a credible threat of military action, and you just don't know what might happen.
Report, too. It's interesting because Matt Taibbi, who broke this report, and they've been working with various sources within in China and within the U.S. government. They actually named names. Of the 3 first people with COVID, Bin Hu, Yu Ping, Yan Zhu, all members of the Wuhan lab. So you can search, you can check all of that. They were the first people to develop the symptoms that were consistent. Remember, that was before a test existed with COVID-19 in the fall of 2019, before the virus spread. So now you've got, again, a move already to protect China, to protect the Faucis of the world, to protect those who told us there's no way this possibly was created in a lab, even though the evidence is just starting to mount finally about who is responsible, whether it was intentional or just extreme negligence. It's the Chinese who bear the responsibility on releasing this on the world.
Yeah, there's no question about that. So, Rick, what would you do to hold the Chinese government accountable for what their actions are? That's what I said. I know we would have in the previous administration. I have no doubt we would have been working on that together. But what do you do now?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that we've always known that work with the Chinese, which is, financial really consequences. So I think having tariffs really making them feel the financial pain of what they put on the world. I also think that this is indicative of an information problem, transparency problem. And so I've never understood, Jay, why the United States government doesn't fund the people who are bringing down the government censors surrounding the internet and the freedom of information. Why can't the people of China or Cuba or Iran, why can't they get information? Why aren't they able to access the internet and see the arguments that the world is making? It's because the government censors their information. And I don't understand why the United States and other Western allies cannot have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week crisis center that simply allows people to get around the government minders. It is something that would save us countless amounts of lives and money, because we could avoid war, because people with knowledge are the most powerful thing in a society.
Yeah. I mean, these are the ideas. Rick, I appreciate you joining us again at the last minute here to discuss it. When I saw that tweet, it was great to have you in the studio. You see, these are the ideas that we talk about all the time. You can take very strong actions, but then it prevents the loss of life. We don't have to, U.S. troops don't get killed. Chinese troops don't get killed.
Right.
Chinese civilians don't get killed. Ukrainian civilians don't get killed. Russians don't get killed. I mean, that's a much better world to live in when you're just, you're handling tough diplomacy, but you're not always on the brink of war. And right now, I think what people feel and why they turn off the news sometimes is, one, it's the economy, and two, it's like, it's war.
Yeah,
and it's like enough already.
Yeah, people, it gets to a point where you say enough is right.